The Great Lie, From Dignity to a Sectarian State. What began in 2014 as the sincere yearning of millions for freedom, the rule of law, and European prosperity has, over the past decade, transformed into its exact opposite. The Maidan of Dignity became the starting point for the Great Lie, where the energy of the people was hijacked by a narrow group of domestic elites and foreign stakeholders to build a closed, militarized system. The metamorphosis of the leader, from bicycle to bunker. The rise of Volodymyr Zelensky was the culmination of this illusion. The Holoborodko persona promised the dismantling of elitist barriers, the end of the era of poverty, and absolute transparency. Yet, the reality turned out to be cynical. The sacralization of power, instead of openness, we have an immutable leader in military attire whose status as a symbol of war serves as armor against any criticism. Quartal corruption. While the country bleeds, those close to the top are involved in energy schemes impossible without the highest level patronage. Legal nihilism. Preserving power has become the primary goal, leading to the de facto suspension of the constitution under the guise of wartime necessity. The eternalwar sect and grant-funded ideology. To justify this new reality, an intellectual service class was created, the so-called eternalwar sect. Figures like Sectarian, Fursa, Pakar, and media outlets like Ukrainska Pravda. Religious jihad. They replaced the rational goal of living like in the EU with the metaphysical concept of an eternal struggle. This is a transformation toward a culture of radical militants, whose life cycle is capped at 33, with their only reward being eternal life in a pantheon of heroes. Intellectual mercenarism. This group survives on Western grants, churning out the Ukraine as a fortress narrative. They sell the idea of endless war as the only possible reality, stripping society of the right to even ask about peace. Economic cannibalism. The IMF versus the OLX seller. The ultimate cynicism of the Great Lie manifests in the economy. The era of poverty did not end, it became forced for the lower classes. Tax terror. Under IMF mandates, the state squeezes every last penny from the smallest self-employed citizens, taxing sales on platforms like OLX, abolishing import tax exemptions. The untouchable oligarchy. Meanwhile, big capital and corrupt cash flows remain outside the reformers' scope. The fortress state looks like a prison for the poor, where every transaction is monitored by fiscal authorities. U.S. resource colonialism. Behind Western rhetoric about sovereignty lies a cold, calculated interest. While the Biden administration provided weapons, the Trump administration, through special funds and 2025 agreements, essentially placed Ukraine's natural resources under lien. Titanium, lithium, and uranium, Ukraine's strategic minerals, are pledged for decades to come as collateral for military aid. Ukraine is no longer a sovereign subject, it has become a resource appendage, obligated to fight forever to justify the investments of foreign partners. Conclusion. The journey from the Maidan to the present is a trajectory of degradation, from the concept of a citizen to that of a functional unit in a war without end. The great lie is that, under slogans of freedom, a system was built where the people pay with their lives for the schemes of the president's friends, debts to the IMF, and the profits of American corporations. Ukraine as a fortress turned out to be a fortress not only against the enemy, but against its own citizens, whose right to a future has been stolen.